Welcome back to Big Fellas. How you doing, Darren? You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you, Mark. You?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Got a good episode today. Got a great guest, an online fitness coach. So, going to pick his brains and see what he has to say. Not just a fitness coach, content creator as well, which is actually how we got in touch. The gentleman's name is Harrison Burgess.
Yeah. Before we get on to that though, Mark, you put in a bit of a challenge, right? Because you've got this thing, haven't you? The thing of like, what do you know about weight loss? Have you not had to walk my journey? So yeah, tell us about that. How you and Harrison first started chatting.
Well, yeah, you've heard me rant on this podcast before. I just find it frustrating. You see really fit, skinny, athletic fitness trainers telling you how to lose weight. And I just sit there and I'm like, fuck off, mate. You've never had to lose weight. And I saw this gentleman post some content, and I'll be honest, I was a bit facetious. And I said, hello, mate, have you actually had to lose weight? And in fairness to Harrison, he didn't tell me to fuck off. He could have done, quite frankly. And I wouldn't have blamed him, you know. But he came back to this. Well, yeah, I have actually had to walk this walk, and yeah, I've lost 30 kilos. And I thought, fair enough. But he came back in a respectful manner. We've had a good conversation, and a few weeks down the line, here we are on a podcast together. So let's welcome him in, shall we? Hello, Harrison. How you doing, mate?
Well, first and foremost, Mark and Darren, thank you very much. If it wasn't for your little snappy comment, we've been on this call. But again, don't ever feel like I got butthurt. I actually quite like people challenging me in my comments because then I'm like, okay, I can't always come across in a respectful manner. But I do think as a personal trainer, you kind of got to put yourself through it. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to teach your clients. But we'll talk about that in this podcast. But first and foremost, thank you very much for having me on. It's going to be a good one.
Definitely. So I obviously challenged you with that. My first question is, do you agree with my sentiment that there are fitness coaches out there teaching people how to lose weight who have never had to lose weight?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's 80% of the industry. I think there's most people in the industry. I do feel like as a personal trainer, it's kind of like the analogy of a plumber, right? What type of plumber would I trust? Would I trust a plumber who's fixed 100 toilets? Or would I trust a plumber who's got the qualification but never fixed a toilet? I'd always go with the guy who's more experienced, right? And I think as a personal trainer, you have to put yourself through it to show you're experienced. And then with the cherry on top, if you put your clients through it, then obviously that's going to create more trust with what you do, and people obviously want to come to you.
Definitely. And yeah, let's go straight into it. So you've had to lose weight. Tell us a bit about this and what was it? How did you go about it?
Yeah. So I never really done a proper weight loss transformation, like a photo shoot. I got like sub 10% body fat until I actually did the bulk, and I pushed the bulk too far, as you would say, the dirty bulk, and I got a bit chunky, as you would say. So I got up to 100 kilos, but it wasn't a nice 100 kilos. If I got up to 100 kilos now, I'd probably still have some of my abs, but we're talking love handles, it was a bit fluffy, maybe like 22-24% body fat. It wasn't a good look, right? There's actually a picture of me and my dog, and someone took a picture of me, and I've got a little bit of a belly sat there with my dog, right? Peak bulk. I was strong, like, yeah, I could lift heavy numbers, but like it wasn't a healthy bulk. And then obviously I got a coach, and then the goal was to do a photo shoot. And obviously the goal was actually to do one photo shoot where I dropped 20 kilos in 16 weeks. And he's like, right, I want you leaner. I thought, go on then. Right. So then we did another photo shoot, which then led me to go from 100 kilos to 70 kilos in 24 weeks. And was it challenging? Yes, 100%. But yeah, I love putting myself through those phases.
Tell me, you said it was hard work. Where did you struggle? Where was that pain when you were going through this?
People ask me this question. It's a very good question. Honestly, like the first maybe 20 kilos it was challenging. But like I always say this, the better you look, the more it sucks. Like you see those people who are like ripped year round. I know for a fact I'm like, that's tough. Like part of me goes like, I love obviously being lean, but like sub 10% body fat, it is hard. Like it's hard work. Like I call it the pinch, right? If any of you got sub 10 body fat, you know what it is. The pinch is where like doing your cardio and steps actually the most hardest task. So what I found is the leaner I got, the harder it got in terms of my body got heavier, the more fatigued I got, the less I actually enjoyed training because I was so lean. So the hardest bit was just those last maybe 2 months where I had everything in my mind saying, "Oh, I'll be all right, just go off plan." But I was like, "No, I've got the photo shoot," because like you're just exhausted. It's like you've seen the people who look absolutely insane ripped. Sometimes I think that it looks cool, But yeah, then there must be days for them that they're struggling as well, because it's tough to get that lean, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that entirely. We did an episode a few weeks back about the final hurdle, and it's getting to that last bit to just hit your goal. And it always just seems that really, really tough just to get over the line, doesn't it?
The leaner you get, the harder it is. The better you look, the more it sucks. That's the way I see it, right? And it's like these bodybuilders that get like, because I'll be stepping on stage this year, and I'll literally have the expectation of like, I want it to suck a little bit, or I want it to suck, because the more I suck, the better I look most of the time, anyways. So yeah, like I said, the last like couple of weeks, your motivation is going to dip. It's up to you to keep on going to finish that hurdle, and then get that sense of like completion, like you're proud of yourself because you completed something.
What's your sort of method for that then, mate? Because I think motivation's such a key thing. How do you keep yourself motivated in those really tough times, personally?
Understanding that this is your choice. Like, I think a lot of people want to sit there and be like, I have to do this. You don't have to do this. You can go back to you're eating burgers and chips every day. Understanding that like we get to do this. Like there's some people out there that actually can't literally move. There's some people out there who wish they could be in your position. Do you know what I mean? Go into the gym, be active, because they physically can't. So I think for me, obviously, I'll do gratitude journaling. I'm big on like thinking positive, and understanding that like we have the opportunity to do stuff like this. We have the opportunity to push our bodies to the limit. And there's some people out there who don't have the opportunity, right? So people take stuff for granted for what they actually have, that some people would trade their life for to have, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we had a guy on, our biggest weight loss loser, didn't we, Mark, who is basically, chair bound due to illness and still managed to do it. And yeah, you're right. Yeah. Actually having the health and the ability to go to the gym and put the effort in is a really good thing, thankfully.
Another thing as well, I always say to myself this: someone's done it. If someone else has done it, we all wipe our ass the same. Like, we're all human, right? Just because that person's done it doesn't mean you're different. If that person's done it, it's possible, right? So having the energy of like, there's someone out there who's probably lost more weight than me. He's probably had it harder than me, and he's still found a way. So I'm like, who am I to like be like, oh, let's go off plan, because there's someone out there who's done it, who showed to me that I can also do it as well.
Yeah, it just shows it's achievable, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. You'd be surprised on how I see these like ultra marathon runners. Like, I speak to these big motivational speakers, done like all these marathons, these runs. I'm like, right, they've taken themselves to the next level. So if they can do it, you can do it. It's just all about up here. That the mind's the biggest. It's either the most powerful or the most destructive tool, right? If you know how to use your mind correctly, you can do whatever you want, really.
Yeah, just talking on the mind and everything. This is just current, and I did this yesterday. I've done it. I've just come off a 36-hour fast, and it was exactly that. All day yesterday, I was telling myself every reason why I just need to jack it in. You've done well. You've got to 20 hours. Just knock it on the head now. 20 hours is good. All day, I was just having this argument with myself in my head, and it was just like, right, come on. As the boxing people would say, you bite down on your gum shield and just fight through it, don't you? And it is, I know it's only a short fast, but it's a fast, and it was just proving to myself I can actually do this. And it's, the mind can be a funny thing at times, but it was just because you said that, it just reminded me of the constant argument I was having in my head last night.
Yeah. No, discipline's a skill. Discipline's a skill. You should have seen what I was like when I first started the gym. Like, and it's like anything, right? The more you say no to those things, the stronger your mind gets. And I truly believe it was the more I got into bodybuilding, the more I got into the gym, the more discipline as you would get, if you said. But like, also as well, I think a lot of people, they want to beat themselves down. They go off plan once. That's it. Let's throw it all in the bin. Like that's also can be quite destructive, but it's understanding that like we all make mistakes, we're all human, but it's the ones that like keep on going, the ones who stay consistent and just get back on the horse the next day are the ones who are going to get the best results.
Definitely. So let's move on a bit, Harrison. So you are an online fitness coach. So for our listeners, how does that differ from a regular fitness coach or an in-person PT? What are the fundamental differences?
So when people ask me this question, people ask me because some people go, "Oh, so you do like the virtual classes?" No, that's not what I do. That's not what I do. So I'll explain it in this way to the audience, or I'll explain it to you, so it sounds a bit more appealing. So I say this: Mark, imagine you come to me and you're like, Harrison, I want to lose 10 kilos in 12 weeks, my holiday in Marbella, for example. So I'm like, okay, cool. We'll get you on a call. I find out more about yourself, your goals, your problems. And then obviously you pay for the 12 weeks on the call. I then give you a customized meal plan, program. You check in with me. I'll guide you for the way. I'll lay out the roadmap for you. And then when you're on your holiday in Marbella, you've lost 10 kilos. You would have looked good with your shirt off. You'll be happy, and everyone's a winner. And that's how I explain it to people. That way, they're like, "Oh, that's sick." So I've had some people before, and they go, "Sign me up for that. That sounds cool." But that's basically what I do. You're gonna have a goal when you come to me, right? I'm gonna give you a plan. I'm gonna guide you throughout the way. I'm gonna teach you how to get into shape, and the end goal would be you to lose the weight or build the muscle. Like you look good, you feel better about yourself, and obviously that way my service is completed and everyone's a winner.
So you do like a full service thing then? You're not like
very one-to-one.
Yeah, you're not like a PT as such. You're like the whole package, the holistic approach.
That's how I find I get the best results. I've helped people out in the gym before, but the issue is where a lot of people go wrong, and it's what we can talk about on this podcast, is so many people focus on the 1 hour of your day. So you get 1 hour, gym, that's it, let's train hard. And that is important, yes. But most people forget about the other 23 hours of the day, right? Which, in my opinion, is more important, right? And it's understanding the benefit of online. It's not only am I obviously given the program, occasionally I can't be with them. That's obviously the only downfall. But if they're already consistent, they already know how to train. What they need is a good plan on the other 23 hours. So that way, when they train, number one, it's more fun, but they see better results as well.
Yeah, it's almost like the reverse to what a gym gives you, isn't it? Because like my gym's fantastic, mate. I enjoy. I've only been going fairly recently. I joined, but I'm really enjoying it. And what they've done is they've given me great workouts, like you say, for an hour of a 24-hour day, 3 days a week, to be fair. But yeah, where I feel that every single gym I've ever joined lacks is they sort of put something on the website, maybe this is how you eat, but there's not much there. Yeah. I really like that food planning. Really good.
Yeah. So when it comes down to, people say 70% nutrition, 30% training, 80% nutrition, 20%. This is my rule. I made this up myself. So 60% nutrition, 30% training, and the other 10% is lifestyle. So lifestyle is like hydration, sleep, alcohol, for example, because those are important as well. People forget about that, right? But first, you must optimize nutrition, 100%. Then the training, because you want to build muscle, but you also want to know how to obviously perform in the gym properly. And then the other 10% is like the cherry on top. So how well you sleep, like are you like fully hydrated, electrolytes, little things like that also play a part if you want to optimize obviously your training.
Definitely. And well, we've spoken about it a lot on here, and diet is just one part. And it was always one of my favorite guests we've had on the show was Judith, who was our first guest, and her line was, "You can't outrun your knife and fork." Yeah, and it's all well and good doing the exercises, but if you're not, if your nutrition's not right, your water intake's not right, then you're going nowhere.
Yeah, abs are made in the kitchen, I think she said as well.
That was another one, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the wrong off is abs are made in the kitchen, yeah, or abs are revealed in the kitchen. But if you want them to make them pop and show, then you got to train them like any other muscle.
Yeah, really good point. So what got you into that then? Like growing up in that, what were you like? Were you kind of always into fitness or?
No, I was the opposite. If you knew me 6 years ago, you'd be like, "Fuck off, is he doing that?" Excuse my language. But yeah, no, if you knew me from like 6 years ago, I'd be the less likely person to do fitness and be in good shape. I was the opposite. Like I said, discipline's a skill. The more I've gone to skiing, the more it's a discipline. Because 6 years ago, I was the least disciplined person, the worst mindset. So if you want, we can go through my backstory and what led me into the gym if you're up for that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've seen the social media content, and I thought it was a really good story as a really good turnaround. So by all means, please.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. We'll properly unravel to when I was 8 years old. So from 8 years old, I had arthritis in both my hips. I've got a big scar on my right hip. So this led me all the way from, I think it was year 1, as you would say, so the start of primary school, all the way till maybe about year 7. I was in and out of the hospital. Obviously, I sometimes couldn't walk properly. I couldn't do exercise for anything longer than half an hour. So, in fact, I was probably the least active kid ever. And I was finding that for a while, I had a very poor immune system. And then this led me to, obviously, I still get it now, but obviously it has got a lot better. And I was a bit more active when I was in school. But then because I was in school, I was fine. I picked a little bit and it went me down a very bad path when I started hanging around with the wrong people. So from 14 to about 18, I was a very angry kid, like angry person because I hated who I was. So from 14 to 18, I got into smoking like loads of weed, maybe doing drugs, selling drugs, trying to like beat people up, if that makes sense. I mean, being one of those hotheads, like someone that you wouldn't want to hang around with in school. I was hanging around the wrong people, like especially when I was 14, 15. A lot of those people I used to hang around with, obviously, are now in prison or they're fucking dead. Do you know what I mean? It's so when I was about 14 to 18, for a while it was like, yeah, let's fucking try to be the man of the block. You know what I mean? Trying to be the top boy. You know, anyone seen Top Boy? I thought I was in like a top boy, but really he's like, mate, deep inside I was just like an insecure little boy, right? That's all I was. And I never validated myself, so I expected validation from other people by trying to like come at them in a way, or do you know what I mean, try to attack people, try to beat people up, or try to be the man of the block, but deep inside I was just very insecure. And then when I got to about 17, 18, I got into more hardcore stuff. Like, obviously I got addicted to cocaine. I was selling cocaine. And then I got to a certain point when it was COVID, obviously COVID-19, that was such a while ago. I got myself into about £2,000 worth of debt. Obviously was doing it all the time. Like, you kind of like don't get high on your own supply. That's kind of what I was doing. And I got to a certain point where COVID came, I had nothing left and I had no money, and I was fucked. Well, I owed loads of people money. And then it gave me an opportunity to then obviously like be isolated away from everyone. I couldn't go to people's houses. Obviously I had no distractions of like certain contacts in my phone. I was stuck in my house all day. And then that gave me the opportunity to ask myself, what do I want in this life? I've always liked going to the gym. I was on and off. I actually did the PT course in college when I was like a little druggie. I was doing the PT course in college when I was doing a little, and there was I did some of my exams where I was on a bender the last night. I came and I still passed them. So then obviously because I had the qualification, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start training every day. I'm actually gonna like make the effort to like isolate myself, train every day. And obviously in my house, what I had is I actually swapped cocaine for a set of dumbbells where it was either 16 on both sides. So I had two dumbbells, I could put 16 on both sides, or it was 20 kilos in one. So I had some dumbbells, I had a pull-up bar, I had resistance bands, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do dumbbells at home, I'll do pull-up bars. Whilst everyone's gonna be drinking too much or eating too much because they're bored, I'm gonna do the complete opposite. I'm just gonna train every day. Like, I got a little small job as a housekeeper at a hospital, which obviously to a lot of people it's quite dangerous at the time with COVID-19. But I thought, look, I need the money, right? I'm young. I'm sure I'll be fine, right? So now obviously I had a part-time job working at a hospital. So any other money I was paying off, so I got a credit card. I had to get £2,000 on the credit card, so I was paying off these people. And any other spare money I had was on protein. It was protein. It was just like dumbbells, weights, and I was just training at home every day. And then what I was finding is when each lockdown got released and we could go back into the gym, I was getting stronger each time. While everyone was going backwards, I was going forwards because I was just training every day. And obviously 4 or 5 years down the line, obviously I got a job at a gym. I worked at Southampton University Leisure Centre, helping out at the gym, helping out by the pool. And then I tried going for the managerial role twice. They didn't give it to me. And I was like, do you know what? Fuck this. I've got my mates in shape. I like being in the gym. I love what I do. I mean, I love training. I must start my online coaching business up. And then obviously 11 months down the line, I was in a position to do my job. And then obviously it was tough at first. Of course it was. But then obviously you keep it going. You stay consistent. Obviously now I'm doing pretty well for myself. And I'm on my first ever proper podcast. Obviously both of you. That's basically my backstory. It's a long story, but you might have to rewatch this again.
Yeah, well, there's quite a bit to unpack there, Harrison. I always like to think when people have a turnaround, was there one specific moment where you sort of looked to yourself and thought, right, I need to turn my life around? Was there one little thing that sparked it? I know in terms of my weight loss, there was certain little things that sort of really stimulated that. Well, what was the thing for you?
I think for a long time, I was always out, was always doing stuff. I sometimes think I'm borderline ADHD, but I was always out, always doing stuff, always. But then when I had time to like, I couldn't even really go on my phone, right? And when I had time to like, isolate my way, it gave me time to like think. I think so many people now don't have enough time where it's just like a long walk on their phones, or they have time to like sit down and like sit on their own thoughts for a bit. And then because of COVID, because I was isolated, that's when it really gave me the time to like think and like think about everything I've done, the position I'm in. And I kind of, in a way, questioned myself. But then it kind of gave me that motivation to be like, right, what do I need to do now moving forward? How can I put this life behind me? If that makes sense. Because of COVID, it gave me time to like lock myself away and give myself a good amount of time to think, if that makes sense.
I think that's a really good point, actually. I think you're right. We get so in the day and day of our lives that we don't reflect. But what made me laugh on your story as well is that, my background is a police officer. I'm not a police officer now, but I was during COVID as well. And it makes me laugh and I've heard it numerous times where people would quite happily go and deal drugs, but they wouldn't break COVID rules. And you just like, it makes sense. But what a blessing, right? In the long run, that you've managed to sort of, get as far as you have, and you've done really well on the back end of something so bad, being like, COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you can use pain as fuel, what really motivates me, you asked what motivates me as well, is anger, hate, right? It's not me, I'm not an angry person, but I just know how to use that anger and hate, if that makes sense. Everyone's different, right? Everyone gets motivated by different things. Some of you might be your family, your kids. What motivated me for a while was anger and hate. Like, how come he has that and I don't? Or how come he's in the position I'm in, I'm not? Right. But then obviously that gave me that time to like, right, how can I use this anger and hate I have right now, or even like a breakup, for example, and put it into my work, put it into my fitness. And then obviously after the gym or after I've done a good amount of work, I then feel better. I've released it in the right way, not years ago trying to beat people up and sell drugs. That's how I released my anger years ago. But if I do it into my work in my gym, I feel good afterwards. I mean, I've done something productive. It's not doing it the wrong way, if that makes sense.
Don't you think the men as well, like especially young men, they need that outlet, and it's almost become frowned upon. Like the amount of times, like if I've had a really stressful day at work, like a punch bag is the best thing to come back. And whether that's right or wrong, that you need that sort of violent aspect to get rid of it. The reality is you're a bit pumped up and you need to release it somehow. And on a bag, which is good for your fitness, is a fantastic way of doing it, right?
So what I used to do, I remember I had my first ever girlfriend when I was 19, and we broke up, right? And it was my first ever heartbreak, as you would say. And this is when I obviously I had an injury with my hip and I couldn't train legs for a while. Obviously, if you go check out my Instagram, my quads are probably best part of my body. But I had a leg injury, and I remember obviously I broke up with her. I couldn't train legs. And I remember sat there like in a pissed off mood, and I was like, when I train legs, I'm never skipping a leg day again. And then what I used to do before each set is I used to play heartbreak songs, and you think, why the fuck you listen to heartbreak songs? But it was a way I could release that anger into my leg days. And then from then on, it was like I was getting stronger each session because I was going in there with so much anger. And then obviously when you get over it, you're consistent anyway. You enjoy training legs because you've built up that strength from having those periods of anger that you use into the gym.
Anger's not a bad thing if you know how to channel it, I think. And that's, like I said, what you said. As long as you're not taking it out on the missus or kids or something like that, then you're fine. But I said, if you're able to channel it in a way that's going to help develop you, then more for you, mate, Absolutely.
I think it's composure. That's what it is. I think there's a lot of good guys out there who they want to, but they know how to control it, if that makes sense. And that's what makes someone a good man, if they know how to control their aggression.
Completely agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what things like martial arts, that's what things like boxing clubs, I think that's what they give a lot of young people. And I think I've always been a huge fan of like boxing clubs and things because I think what it does is it often takes young people who are going the wrong way and have all that built up anger, and it channels it so well into something so positive and teaches them the life skills they need to progress into the future.
I also think it's humbling in a good way. Like you go there and like I've done a little bit of boxing. There was one guy in there, you wouldn't expect him to be an absolute killer. Right? You look at him, he looks like a random bloke on the street until you get in the ring of him, and oh my God, he humbles you, right? And it's just understanding when you go to a place like that, you're not the top dog. Right, in fact, you're the bottom dog. And it's that like in a good way humbling experience where it shows you that like you can't think you're the boy all the time. There has to be some form of, oh, this person is better than you in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and those people can be quite dangerous, can't they? One of my best friends, he used to do competitive fighting, and he's in a hostile situation. He's the calmest person in the room. He'll never antagonize anyone. He'll just be quiet. But you just know, heaven forbid, if he goes, we ain't gonna stop.
It's always the quiet ones, mate. It's always the quiet ones.
Yeah. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Let's get back to the online business then, because I'm fascinated about it. So, if me or Mark come to you now, you've said that you it's a lot of one-to-one time. You go over what we're eating and stuff like that. I looked at a lot of your content, and me and Mark shared some videos of some of the sort of weight-based sessions that you're showing people how to train certain muscles. What do you sort of spend most of your time with the clients in the early stages?
In the early stages, it's a very good question. So I spent most of my time nurturing the existing clients I have. Obviously, like, I think when you first start out, like, your knowledge is not going to be as much, just due to the fact of the lack of experience of people. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but bear in mind, when you've worked with so many people, there's recurrent patterns. So I spent more time, and I'd recommend, if there's any of you fitness coaches watching this, spend more time just being a better coach, right? Because you haven't worked with a lot of people. So what I did is I nurtured those existing clients. For me, results is my most favorite part of my job, and some of the people that come on come from referrals, my results, etc. So I spent more of my time making sure my existing clients were all happy, because especially if you've only got a handful, right, you want to hold on to this handful, because if you've got 10 clients, you lose 3 of them, that's a third of your clients have gone. So I spent more time nurturing those clients, right, making sure they're happy, they're good results, and then once you get them good results and you're consistent on social media, it will start compounding, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it does. And like I said, I'm quite new to the gym. I've got literally, mate, I've got 0 goals. I know it sounds really bad. I've got 0 goals. The only thing I want to do is do it all year. That's all I'm saying to myself. Like, trust the process, consistency. That's all I care about. I just want to go 3 times a week, every week for 52 weeks. That's my only goal at the minute.
That's a good goal, and it's a good point as well. And I say this to everyone: it's not how much you do; it's about who you need to become. So you need to label yourself as the person who's consistent, because in that way, like, if you have goals, if you're consistently around, you'll be more likely to achieve them. You haven't set out these big goals of, oh, I want to hit this in this time, right? Like, end of the day, like, yeah, that's important, but if you haven't got the right mindset in the first place, I could give you the perfect plan. You haven't got the right mindset to follow. So, in my opinion, it's more about who you need to become rather than what you need to do, if that makes sense.
So let's get into let's talk about meal planning. So say me or Darren come along when we're at our worst. So we're sort of 20 stone plus and not very active, but we both realise we're eating the wrong type of food. Where do you start with someone like that?
Yeah. So I'd find out what they're eating previously. So what are you eating currently? I might have Cheerios for breakfast. I might have a crappy meal there, or sausage rolls for lunch. And then I might have my normal tea with some chocolate biscuits, etc. So then what I would do is I'd try and match that meal plan to, like, not exactly the same, but I'd keep the 3 meals. But that's what the norm, that's their eating pattern, right? And then what I would do is I'd match the meals to their meal plan. That way, it's not like I'm not going to give you like 5 high protein meals per day, because you can't even stick to like 3 normal meals per day. So realistically, if you've got someone who's never really been to the gym, they're not consistent, what they need something that's somewhat similar to their previous life. That way, it's not such a big jump, right? And that's how I would do it for most of my clients. And I've got my consultation form. Tell me what you was eating before. I'll try somewhat match that, because then that way, if you can get some quick wins from the start, due to the fact that it's not too difficult to meal plan, that's going to give you motivation. What's going to give you motivation is seeing results. So if I can match that meal plan to somewhat similar to what you've done previously, and you get those quick results, then you'll be more likely to follow the plan and keep it going, because you know what I'm doing is working.
Yeah, I get that. And it is that small step approach, isn't it? So, okay. So, yeah. So say I had a bowl of Cocoa Pops for breakfast. How would you sort of tweak that to make that a more positive breakfast?
Yeah, top out of a bowl of oats. I'll explain to you, obviously, the issue with a bowl of Cocoa Pops, right? High in sugar, low in fiber. It's going to cause you to crash. So you're going to get a big spike. You're going to get that big rush in the morning. Yep, driving to work. And then what's going to happen? You get to midday. You're going to be tired. You want to nap. And then that's when you're more likely to, like, go off plan, because number one, you're tired, but also you're low energy. So you want something that's going to perk you up. And it's a vicious cycle. So I'll be like, right, when you have a bowl of oats, the benefit of oats is, yes, it's got some sugars in it, it's got some carbohydrates in it, but it's also got fiber. And fiber is slow digesting. So you won't get that big instant spike, because that will naturally go up because it's got fiber in it. So I'd swap out the Cocoa Pops with the bowl of oats. And I was like, you know what? Chuck some whey protein in there, chocolate flavor. Let's say you like chocolate Cocoa Pops. That way it's got some flavors to it as well, and you actually enjoy the food, because that way it's somewhat similar to the flavor of Cocoa Pops.
Brilliant. And then moving on at lunchtime. Yeah, I was a sucker for a meal deal, and I'd always get the biggest sandwich that you could get. I'd get a grab bag, and I'd get a big fizzy drink, and I'd usually pick up a Kit Kat as well. So I'd go one step more than the meal deal. So I'm a busy guy out on the road, and like I said, meal deals have been currency for me, just because of that was I was out and about, and quick convenience food was there. What would you advise for someone in that situation?
Yeah, so then I would ask some questions of are you going to be out for the whole day? Because if you've got to get a meal, you got to get a meal. It is what it is, right? But there's better alternatives, right? It's like I can sit there and say, well, you should eat this food and this food, but if you're out for the whole day and you literally can't meal prep, that's out the window. That's out the window. We can't. There's no point trying to get to meal prep if you can't do it. So what I would educate you on. Okay, right. Instead of having a Kit Kat for your snack, a triple chicken, whatever it is, and then like a full fat Coke. But right, we need to swap out for this alternative. Then it might be, for example, okay, we'll go for the Coke Zero this time, zero sugar. Instead of the Kit Kat, we're going to have some like mango or fruit pot, or maybe even a protein bar, right? And then what I'd get you to do is instead of having this type of sandwich, you can have this type of sandwich that you enjoy, if that makes sense. And educate you on the calories as well. Because it's all good for me to say you eat healthy, but if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not in a calorie deficit. But I'd also educate you on the calories in it as well. That way you know roughly like, this is the calories that you was having before. This is the calories you're having now.
So it's about better calories. Is it about better calories as well?
Better alternatives. Yeah, calories is a unit of energy. So realistically, like calories is calories, right? But there's better alternatives depending on your goals, right? If your goal is to lose weight, then obviously the main focus is always going to be a calorie deficit, right? But it's just understanding that like to keep that calorie deficit consistent, and for you to not go over it, or for you to have certain foods and you're starving, there has to be some knowledge of like what are best alternatives for your goals. Because you could have a goal of being in a surplus, then okay, then we might allow a bit more flexibility. But if your goal is to lose weight, which is most people's goals, then yeah, obviously the goal would be for the calorie deficit, which is understanding the differences between the better alternatives. That we can go into micronutrients as well. We can talk about that as well. But obviously, like you can't. People want to run before they walk, right? And they've actually done studies on this where people have eaten crap foods and they've eaten a calorie deficit, and they're actually blood markers have improved, HDL's improved, LDL's improved just by losing weight. So I think a lot of people want to run before they can walk. So the main thing will always be a calorie deficit, and once you stay consistent with that, then you can talk about optimizing micronutrients, whole foods, etc. The main thing will always be a calorie deficit first.
Yeah, because we had this chat the other day, and because I think Mark's itching to go on to dinner, but we had this chat the other day where it was like, well, actually, all you need to do is be in a calorie deficit. But I genuinely believe it's easier to eat into a calorie deficit when you eat healthier foods because they tend to be lower in calorie. So
yeah, so like. The benefit of whole foods, right? I've had it with clients before. They tell me what they eat. I'm like, right, I'm gonna give you more of a whole food diet, and they're like, I can't finish your food. Am I sure I'm in a calorie deficit? I'm like, no, because you're eating very clean now. Like the food you're eating, a lot of it is high fiber foods, like you're eating a lot of fruit and veg, and they can tend to be low in calories but very filling. Like I could talk to you all day, even something like baby potatoes, for example. I love baby potatoes in the cart. Why? Because if I got out a satiety index, so how filling it is, potatoes is number one. So if I'm going to meal plan a client, right, I might even be like, right, take out maybe pasta. I'm going to put potatoes instead. And what you might find is that you're going to be more filling, well, more full when you've eaten the food.
Leads me on to dinner, I guess. I do like my potatoes. So. And yeah, I guess just sort of what would be your sort of go-to dinner recommendations then?
I'd always ask them what they was eating previously. So like then I can meal plan a spag bowl as long as it's done right. I can meal plan a chili con carne. I'll try and match around that. But again, I would make sure, let's say you train in the evening time, right? Let's say you train in the evening time. Obviously, your post-workout meal is going to be your dinner for most people, right? So in that way, I would always try to go with the highest carb meal post-workout, with obviously your protein, your fruit and veg, etc. Because that's when, obviously, when you train, you release something called glycogen. So any of you watchers don't know what glycogen is. That's what your body converts from carbohydrates as an energy source to train. So to restore those glycogen levels, then you want to have your highest carb meal. So now I'd have like, it depends what you before, but a spag was one, chili con carne. People like steak, we've been chucking steak, sweet potato, broccoli. It's just based on what they was eating previously, and I'll try and match it around that as well.
I'm really pleased that you explained that, because I always thought that you should have like a high carb lunch if you're training in the evening, because the carbs give you energy.
Yeah. So I've got clients who train fasted, right? But like realistically, if you have a big dinner, like carbohydrates, and they're not going to disappear, like your glycogen stores are going to be somewhat full from them. Yes, having some carbs before, yeah, it could help. But I've also got clients who train fast and they like it, because at the end of the day, whatever you eaten last night, that's not going to disappear. You're still going to have some glycogen stores to train with, if that makes sense. It's a preference thing, right? It's a preference thing. I like training with carbs in me, but I've got clients who don't like it. Like it's whatever works for you. But obviously there is some correlation between having carbs in you from when you train as well.
Yeah. All right. What about pudding then? If you've got a bit of a sweet tooth and
Yeah, actually, I plan the same. No, I plan the same. And it works so well. So what I would do is I would give out, like, for a client, right? I'd give out 3 basic meals, and I'll chuck in like a high protein dessert, right? And the reason why it does so well is because instead of just taking out the habit completely, you've swapped out of a better habit. So then what I would do is, I know, like, overnight wheat mix cheesecake. If any of you want that recipe, feel free to give me a follow, drop me a message. I can tell you that. Or even something like a Greek yogurt bowl with like whey protein in, dark chocolate in there, berries, for example, because you'd be surprised that a bowl like that is not a lot of calories. If you went for a tub of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, you're talking 1,200. Or you can make yourself a yogurt bowl that's got obviously your fruit, your fiber in, dark chocolate, so it's got your healthy fats in there, and that could be anywhere between 300 to 400 calories. And we're talking like 40, 50 grams of protein here. So then you've got your protein as well. So I've actually meal planned desserts in if a client's got a sweet tooth, but high protein desserts, because that way, instead of taking it out completely, we just swap it out instead.
and you can play with it as well, can't you? Like
Yeah, you get great with it.
yeah, like natural yogurt. I think like just natural yogurt is a great base, and
Yeah.
it's quite high in protein, I think, right?
Yeah.
But then things like whey powder give you so much more flexibility to make really tasty items. So like I've been having like some just a bit of natural yogurt, maybe even just half a scoop of whey protein, like chocolatey flavor, mix that in. Like you say, you can put some dark chocolate, 95% type stuff, just sprinkle that in there. That gives it a bit of flavor, few berries and stuff. And you don't feel guilty for eating it then either.
I also find it's really filling. Greek yogurt for me is one of the most filling meals I can eat. High in protein, filling. I mean, curbs your sweet tooth. I plan it in most of my meal plans, but unless they've got like they're dairy intolerant. Obviously, I can't do that. But for most of the people, I think it's a great meal. In fact, I still have a meal cut and all bulk because I just enjoy it. I love a good yogurt bowl.
Definitely, yeah. I'm a big fan of yogurt. I'll have yogurt, bit of honey, little few flakes of granola, something like that, and it's just there. It's filling, it's satisfying, it's sweet. It ticks all the boxes, doesn't it?
The trick is sticking to a diet is enjoying the food you're having. Some people go, "Oh, Harrison, I'm eating chicken, rice, and broccoli 5 times per day or 3 times per day." In what way is that fun? In what way are you going to wake up and you go, breakfast, chicken, rice, and broccoli? No, that's not how it works. Like, and obviously some people, they haven't got the knowledge to understand. When they think of fitness, they think, oh, the good old chicken, rice, and broccoli. We could sit there and blame the celebrities, because what happens when you ask Hugh Jackman on how he got in shape for the film? Oh, well, chicken, rice, and broccoli 5 times per day. So when people think of that, they initially think of that. But I think the trick is to sticking to a diet is foods that you like. But also as well, when I meal plan clients, is 3 to 4 alternatives. Because realistically, we all, even when we wasn't following a fitness plan or whatever it is, we all eat the same stuff 3, 4 times per day. We just mix it up when we're bored, right? So if you can just match that to like a better meal plan that keeps them in a calorie deficit, it's a win-win.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think that's so right. You got to enjoy life, haven't you? To an extent.
You got to enjoy your foods, otherwise you're not going to stick to it. Like, yeah, like sticking to the same foods is going to help 100%. But if you don't enjoy the foods you're having, how are you going to look forward to your dinner? You're not. You're going to, then you're more likely to get someone else because you don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's obviously the food. And then, like we said, food is a big chunk of what you do with people, right? It's a very important part. What about sleep then, mate? So like me and Mark both work days, generally speaking, during the day, during the week, we're busy, and then we probably get a bit of downtime at the weekend and in the evenings. But my wife, for example, she loves her fitness. She's a 24/7 shift worker. She works days, late nights, all sorts.
Yeah.
How do you manage with things like that?
It's a good question, because I've got clients who do nights as well. And it's just understanding that, like, when it comes down to night shift, there's a few points I can cover on. Number one, if you need an extra rest day, take the extra rest day. You're not going to lose muscle by not training. Take the extra rest day if you need it, especially if you're doing mixed shifts. Because what you'll find, you'll do a block of days. You'll do whatever it is, 5:30 till, I know some guys do 12-hour days, right? So let's say they got to do 5:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and then they get 2 days off and they go back into that but nights. If they need an extra rest day, take the extra rest day. And I'd always try to time that rest day, or even on the 3rd or the 2nd shift where you swap round. Because bearing in mind, it's going to be a slap in the face. It's going to feel like jet lag somewhat. So if you need to, listen to your body, take the extra rest day. As long as you're sticking to your nutrition, right, and you're basically following the plan, it's not going to hurt. In fact, I could argue that it's actually going to be better for you, because when you train, you can actually train properly. So number one, take the extra rest day. Number two, invest in stuff like blacked out curtains, sleep masks, earbuds. Realistically, if you've got to sleep in the day, it's going to be harder for you to sleep. So the best thing you could do is block out any distractions that's going to wake you up. So I'd recommend if you can afford it, like I said, sleep mask, blacked out curtains, earbuds, and then supplements wise, what I'd recommend for you to take before you sleep, which also helps you sleep, is magnesium glycinate specifically, which helps lower body temperature, and then also ashwagandha as well. I normally pair them on my client supplement plan because that also pair them together. It helps you sleep.
I hadn't even thought about supplements. That's a really good point, actually.
No, likewise, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you recommend any supplements then, do you, Harrison?
It depends on their goals. There's also like there's always going to be certain health ones that I think most people need. Like for example, if you live in the UK, we all probably lack vitamin D. We definitely need vitamin D supplement. Omega-3 fish oils most of the time if you don't eat a lot of fish. Magnesium to be one. I'd recommend that. A lot of people are magnesium deficient. I think you could probably say there's probably 5 main supplements. If you're watching this, I'd probably say 5 main supplements most people need, right? Is magnesium, zinc, omega-3s, creatine, magnesium, zinc, creatine, omega-3 fish oils, there's another one, vitamin D, right? Those are the 5 main. I'd recommend anyone has them, to be fair.
Creatine, mate, because I hear about creatine so much. Last week we put out an episode and the guy from America, he talked about creatine as part of his diet. He was sent it as part of a challenge. What actually is creatine and how does it help me? Like, because I've never had it before.
Yeah, so creatine is actually, it's just in your muscles. Really, so what happens with creatine, right, is when you take creatine, like your muscles just become more dense of water. Your muscles our body is just mainly water. So when you take creatine, your muscles will be more dense of water, which will help with better performing sessions. Your muscles need to be hydrated to have good sessions because your muscles are mainly just water. So there's that, and there's also some recent studies that have came out. I don't know if he's covered that creatine helps brain function. Has he covered that?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of this lately.
Yeah.
And I think it was on one of Steve Bartlett podcasts. There was a guy really sort of waxing lyrical about the benefits of creatine, not just for sort of muscle growth, but for brain function.
Yeah, I'd recommend anyone takes it. It's one of the most research supplements out there, especially if you're like a high performing man. I'd recommend like getting like a certain morning stack with like maybe creatine, lion's mane, maybe some focus powder. I could probably name a couple where that's going to help you like optimize with your workforce as well. But yeah, creatine not only for strength purposes, because it fills your muscle up with more water. That's why you've got to drink more water, creatine, but also for brain function as well.
Okay. Yeah, I just assumed it was like a pre-workout sort of drink. And I'd heard that people are taking pre-workouts and your heart rate goes crazy. And
yeah. So creatine doesn't really matter when you take it. Just take it with your more supplements. Like, don't make it more of a difficulty. Don't be like, right, I want to take my creatine post-workout, because if you leave it in the cupboard and you've got to fucking get it out and you're going to forget, right? So I always say just don't make it difficult for yourself to follow it. Like, take it with your morning supplements. That way it's done, it's out of the way. It doesn't really matter too much of when you take creatine. Pre-workout, for example, that's obviously some form of caffeinated powder, right? So that way you don't want to take that before you bed. That's pretty much common sense, right? You don't want to take that before the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like the pre-workout stuff? Do you recommend them?
I do like it. I like it because I love coffee. I'm a high stim dude. I've always liked my stims. Can you have good sessions without it? Of course you can, right? Some people like it, some people don't like it. The main thing is I think if you are going to do it, that's fine, but you will build up a tolerance. So you have to give yourself a little bit of a break as well, because you'll go for a stage where you'll do 2 scoops and you'll be like, oh, that was it. That's when you know you need a break. So I'm all for taking pre-workout, but I also occasionally give myself time off it. That way, like, I build that resistance again. So when I take it, it actually feels like I'm caffeinated, as you would say.
Yeah, makes sense.
Nice one, nice. Just moving on a bit, Harrison. Let's have you got some examples of some client success stories that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, of course. I got one client at the minute. He's 1 kilo or 30 kilos down. That's pretty cool, to be fair. And this guy was, again, like we spoke about, right? He went from eating bags of crisps and chocolate every day to now I'd probably say he's got that identity that he's a gym guy and he gets his mates into it. I've got one client, we need to put a full stone, and I got about 10% body fat, and he's now bulking. I can name loads. I've got guys that have came to me who want to build muscle, but also I know this is a weight loss one. So yeah, if you check my page out, I've had client success stories that, 4, 5 stone you pulled off. When you pull that amount of weight of someone, they become unrecognizable. Like, their face and their structure, their clothes, they go from a double XL to a large. And really, if I've got one client, he's 30 kilos down, I might even saved him 10, 20 years of his life, because that's a lot of weight to pull off someone. He went from 113 kilos at 6'1" maybe, to now I think he's in the 80s. He's in the 85, I'm pretty sure. So that's, do you know what I mean? That's life changing. If you lose that amount of weight, that is life changing 100%. And also the analogy is like with people like that, who've got to lose so much weight. It's like he was walking around all day with a 30 kilogram backpack on him. Think about how exhausting that is.
Yeah.
Think about how exhausting you must be to walk around with a 30 kilogram backpack all day. So not only obviously has his health markers improved, but also he has more energy, he has more life. He actually did you might be watching this to be fair. He actually did I think he did Mount Snowdon or something, and he couldn't have done that 7 months ago or 7-8 months ago, right? He was too big, right? He wouldn't have done it. But the fact that he'd lost 30 kilos, he's now fit enough to do Mount Snowdon as well. Which to me, that's fucking my man right there. Life changing. Do you know what I mean? Like I love it when my clients do well. It makes me happy. Seeing them happy makes me happy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's linked into your success, isn't it? You know, you're a part of their journey and that makes you proud.
It's fulfilling, right? It's like doing any fulfilling job. Even like nurse, for example. A lot of nurses obviously don't even get paid that much, but they like the job because it's fulfilling. So it's exactly the same principle.
So you work with a variety of people, different ages. Do you work with many women?
Yeah, so I work about 75%, 70% men, and then 30% women. So I work with more majority men, and the age range is anywhere between. I've had a few more signups recently from Facebook that were older, but the majority of them are anywhere between 25 to 40, because there's going to be some form of resemblance of me as well. But I have signed up some older men recently as well.
And one of the things I'm really conscious of now, and I'm sure Mark will agree with this all comes from I broke my wrist playing football at the early end of last summer. So now I'm pretty much able to do whatever I want and stuff. But one of the things I noticed is how quickly I lost muscle in my left arm where I'd broken my wrist. And that's one of the things that's really worried me and spurred me on to get back into a lifting gym, is that I want to rebuild as much muscle as I can. How much harder is it for people as you get into your sort of 40s to build muscle?
So you can definitely still build muscle, but you're always going to have the factor of your testosterone lowering. So each year when you get older, from let's say above the age of 36, your testosterone is going to decline, whether you like it or not. That's age, unfortunately. You can't avoid age. that's Mother Nature right there. So obviously it can be harder, and it's also going to be harder for you to maintain a lean physique year round, because that's also part of having high testosterone. Building muscle, but obviously keeping that leaner body weight. But it can definitely still be done. If you have the mindset of you can't get stronger, you won't get stronger. But it can definitely still be done, but you won't have the same recovery capabilities. You probably won't be able to sit at leaner body weight, or you definitely can, but it'll be harder for you. And understanding that your energy risk profile is going to be slightly higher as well the older you get, but it can still be done as long as you've got the mindset. But it's understanding that it's going to be more challenging.
Yeah.
And so moving on, what would your big advice be? There's a fat guy here in the room with us, and he says, "Look, Harrison, today's my day one. I want to turn my life around." What's the first bit of advice you're going to give him?
I think small steps at a time. Just focus, like I said, focus on being consistent. Most importantly, don't have crazy big goals. Focus on being just consistently. And then what I would do is small steps at a time. Before you want to get into the gym, start off with your nutrition and walks. That's what I do. If they got real bad gym anxiety, I say we don't need a gym, right? Let's focus on this first. So small steps at a time. But the main thing is that you focus on being consistent, because just by you maybe eating less food and walking, you will see results of that. And then what you find, once you see results, you'll stay consistent and be longer. But yeah, the best advice I can give to him is have the mindset of I'm going to be that consistent person, but also taking small steps at a time by focusing on your nutrition to the best of your ability first, and focus on just moving a bit more, right? And then once you get used to that, then you can have the confidence to try out new things, maybe go for a run, then go to the gym. But I think so many people want to go from 1 step to 10 steps, right? Let's focus on, before you want to optimize a habit, let's first focus on instilling the habit first. So let's focus on getting you consistent, being someone who's consistently exercising, just moving a bit more, eating a little bit less, right? Keeping it real simple, getting those quick wins, and then we can start optimizing the habit from there.
Yeah, that's the kind of approach I'm taking. And yeah, I think that's like one of the things that me and Mark do quite a lot is we try and like look at what our losers are telling us when we do the interviews. And it very much seems to be that the most successful people that we've come across start and do something, and then over time, it might be 6 months later, they then add something else. And by the time we have them on, they almost feel like these uber successful people because they're doing this, they're doing that, and everything's come together. Yeah. But when you talk to them about their journey, it very much starts with one thing, and then when they feel ready, they're doing something else. and it's that compound effect.
Yeah, it's a long process, but the main thing for them is they've just stuck to it. Right, people might be jealous of what you had, but they're not jealous of what it took you to get there. So like there was a stage for them where it sucked hard, and it might even still suck from now. But the difference between them and someone else is they just didn't give up. Right. So if you have labeled yourself as the consistent gym goer, it's not about how much you do, it's about who you need to become. Because you've labeled yourself as a consistent gym goer, you then start obviously acting like it. You then start like, I mean, talking that way. And I think the difference between them and someone else is that they just stay consistent in the game long enough, and through sheer mistake and volume, they just got better and they just improved, and they obviously then they optimize that habit over a period of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good place to start sort of winding it up there, Harrison. We really appreciate it, mate. Just sort of before we wind up, sort of what's the plans for Harrison Burgess going forward? Where's the business going? Where do you want to take it?
Yeah, I want to take it to. I truly believe I can build one of the best fitness communities, and I preach that in my content. So the plan is just to keep on going, right? Keep on showing up, keep on getting better, being consistent most importantly, but always have the mindset of learning to be better, because the only way we could always improve is just to learn. And take on more knowledge from people. So if you follow me on Instagram, Harrison__Burgess, the focus is moving forward is honestly just to build a bigger, better business, but most importantly, help more people out.
It is a really good Instagram page, to be fair. I thoroughly recommend it. And we will put a link to that in the description of the podcast. So for anyone that just doesn't want to look, that wants to click, go there.